everybody, and welcome back to The Hole in the World, The War Report, an Invisible Sun interlude based on the Invisible Sun RPG by Monty Cook Games. I am, as always, your GM, otherwise known as Zach, otherwise known as Great Zamino, and I am joined by my four wonderful cast members for this, the season finale of The War Report. We are going to go back after this directly into our regular story, part 2 of The Hole in the World, which I can't wait to kind of showcase to you guys what we've been doing with the stream and what have you. But before I go into all of that, we are, of course, going to do our cast introductions. So, everybody let us know if you can hear us. But without further ado, Marcy, if you'd like to go ahead and give your introduction.
Hey, it's still me, still Marcy, aka Experimental Madness, and that is the name you can find me most places around the internet except for Twitter, where I intend to remain the resident cryptid under the username Marciful. I am super excited, not at all nervous. Everything is totally fine. I am playing the Irreverent Mott, the connected empathic apostate who fuses nightmares to fists.
Excellent. And below Marcy on the overlay, Bill, if you want to give us your introduction.
Hey everybody, I'm Bill. You can find me on Discord. My handle is Ghostbike. And today I'm playing Kieran von Melis, the Tailor, an Eremitic Stoic of the Order of Makers who warps time and space.
Excellent. Moving over to the other side of the overlay, Hopper, if you want to give us your introduction.
Fuck me, right? What's up, everybody? I'm Hopper, aka Fail Deadly on the interwebs. That is with a Fail Deadly with a 3 instead of me, so it looks like Fail Badly. And I will be playing the I'm definitely gonna say this wrong, the iconoclastic gallant apostate who heralds endings. Fuck, it's not gallant. Is it gallant?
Is it ardent?
It's ardent.
Yeah, it's ardent.
Why do we know this?
The real question is, why do I not have that information up on a screen? It's because I like to challenge myself even though I'm bad at things.
Well, there's plenty of challenges ahead. But before we go into that, finally rounding out this motley crew, Marissa, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marissa, also known as Critical Kitten, the most critical of kittens, with a variety of punctuation in various corners of the internet. And for the final time, I am playing the young Vancian scientist and willowy aristocrat turned battle strategist in the war, Magister Allegra von Hollingsworth, the Rook, who is an Eremitic Stoic of the Order of the Vance, who claims dominion over ideas.
Awesome. Everybody introduced. So before we get started with today's episode, let's go ahead and quickly recap what transpired last episode. And I might be a little bit overwhelmed by everything that's going on. So if I miss something, I'm sorry. But it's intense. Namely, what has been kind of transpiring over the past 2 episodes has been the beginnings and middle of Operation Tiberian, the third and final operation detailed within the magical simulacrum / artifact known as the War Report. As all of you who have been following the series know, our regular PCs, Gavriel, Twigg, Maurice, and Kyrrie, are sitting within this kind of simulacrum, seeing and acting through the eyes and the kind of bodies of these 4 strange counterparts that belong to a clandestine group of operatives known as the Caderak. So these operatives, codenamed the Mask, the Hammer, the Tailor, and the Rook, have been performing these clandestine operations. The final operation we discover is in order to undermine the plans of the Vespertine as they grow closer and closer to winning the war. The Army of Satyrine, and with the help of the Caderak, is looking to essentially teleport or to transport a massive number of refugees, including an almost the entirety of a group within Satyrine known as Pathwalkers, these an interesting specific kind of Vizsla that are able to traverse the path of suns as easily as walking down the street. They are intent on moving them to the Silver Sun, the home of many of the angels. However, in order to do this, they must first summon an artifact with which to bribe the Unknowwable Angel, who is facilitating this transportation. That artifact is being summoned by the Caderak's commanding officers, the generals, who each of them representing the 4 separate hearts of the Vizsla within Satyrine, are summoning the Black Cube, with which they can use to procure an almighty powerful artifact to give this angel. So nothing too complicated of a setup there, right, guys? So Operation Tiberian came underway last session. We're using the warfare rules from Green Dragon Publishing, Green Ronin Publishing's Dragon Age RPG. You guys have gotten through the first 2 of 3 phases, the opening moves, which was a set of scouting missions led by Kieran the Tailor, and finally moving second to the main engagement, which was rolled by Okris, and in which you guys managed to repel an incredibly powerful siege-like demon that was intent on ripping through your defenses like so much tissue paper. After a set of miraculous rolls and some quick thinking from Everett, you guys were able to repel this beast, and almost in response, sensing a tactical opening, the Vizsla that has been contacting you, Everett, and speaking to you as an illusion, exerted his controlling will over you to attempt to force you to kill your friends. By choosing to make a sacrifice as a player, you were able to overcome the 3 successes that were needed to stop that from happening, however, at a cost. In your state of control, of lack of control, I should say, you managed to knock unconscious or seemingly maybe even kill the Arabast that has been an ally to you and who is the beloved of your general Shaya Kazan, Maduin. However, you feel that control has left you as looking through a simulacrum, having this almost out-of-body experience, you saw a woman with feathered, multicolored hair, beautiful, multicolored eyes, and Gavriel, you realized that Everett was looking through the simulation directly at you. And we are going to pick up at this moment. And I need to change the music. Everett, you feel the hooks that Marlowe had in your mind begin to recede away as that vision of the woman that had been haunting your nightmares and who came to you as a vision of dreams yet to come or yet to be realized. All of that begins to recede away, and at your feet, you realize, after finally breaking eye contact painfully from Shaya, you realize at your feet you see Maduin's crumpled body. And there is a moment where your mask, I think, is completely devoid of expression, as looking at this unconscious form, you are unable to gather an emotion from it. But I think deep in your heart is the dread, the suspense, and then suddenly ragged breathing as you hear Maduin struggling in unconsciousness. What do you do?
I think there's this recoil effect first, where Mott realizes that his fist is still reared back from the punch, and he looks at it, and there's been these cracks that have been forming on Mott's mask throughout the various missions that we've gone on, and I think you just hear him give this horrified gasp, and the mask splits cleanly diagonally in two, and the symmetry of which is completely obliterated, as like one is sort of leveled up and one is sort of like leveled down. And he looks over, I think first, like the fist frozen in pure horror at what he's just done, the realization, and I think there's a bit of blood on the gloves of his knuckles, and he freezes and looks over at Chaya, and seeing the horror magnified, you now suddenly see it in his own mask, matching what he's feeling. Almost immediately after that, he tries to find his voice. It comes and like starts and stutters as he's just, someone take him and make sure that get a medic over here now.
All right. I will say that Kieran and Okris, you were the nearest people to Everett. What do you do as you hear this?
I think Kieran walks over and uses a Forte ability called Frozen in Time. The target cannot be harmed or affected for good or ill. So this is a stabilizing effect.
Absolutely. I will say this, unconscious, you don't even need to roll. One thing you do notice, however, if I can alter your description a little bit, Everett, as you look at Everett's fractured mask, the different sides elevated, Everett, what is the color of one of your original eyes?
Oh my god. I might accidentally retcon something we said before in a previous episode. Now I'm afraid. I should have written this stuff down. It's like I improvise on this show. I think that they are blue.
Yeah. You see, looking out of one of the eye holes of the mask, a immaculate blue eye, where one was not seen before. And even as the mask shifts, there is this disconcerting human part of it. Okris, do you do anything?
Yeah. Does it seem like Majuin's line has ended?
No. If you are asking if you sensed an ending, no. It has. You have not felt an ending. I will say this though. Yeah, actually, do you have any other questions or any thing you want to do?
If it's not his time, it's not his time.
Yeah. You feel like there's more potential here. I will say this, Everett, as you finally look back to Majuin, you look up and you see Marlowe looking at you in surprise.
Is he standing like in? Because I was inside the, like we were standing at the threshold of the door.
Yeah, he's standing out in the battlefield with you. Where you guys met the massive demon Razaraz. Sorry, Okris, you have a question?
Sorry, that punk bitch is visible?
No, not to you. But he is very visible to you, Everett. And he has this kind of look, that look of smugness is off of his face as he looks at you in surprise. And then he says, you need to do this. You need to help me. This is the only way I can safeguard you. This is the promise that I made. You have to kill them. None of it else matters. Otherwise, things are.
Mott turns away immediately. Get these lines back into formation immediately.
You don't understand what's coming. I can help you. You're my friend.
I want us to have a status report on everything that's coming our way.
You need to see things the way I see them. And as you see this, his eyes kind of look past you. As in the doorway of the church, you see actually an absence of light in the air between the four generals, as something very small, a cube about the size of a die, is spinning, all of its faces Vanta black, drinking in the light of everything around it. And as it spins, it begins to grow larger. Allegra, you see this very clearly. Okris, Kieran, Everett has given the rest of the kind of recruits around you a command. This kind of harried command. The dead are beginning to reform ranks after the siege has failed and faltered.
Okras is looking at Mott because that was weird, and that only half of that conversation was available to us.
Yeah, Kieran, what? Yeah, do you notice? Do you do anything as well?
You're broken. You got a little.
Kieran says, Okris, can you carry him?
Yeah, Okras just tosses.
I release him out of this time stasis so he can be interacted with, and
okay.
Okris just tosses Majuin into a fireman carry.
Okay. As all of you begin making your way back, you hear something, which starts as a very low buzz at first and grows louder as you realize it is the sound of hundreds upon hundreds of pairs of wings flapping at impossibly fast speeds. And you look up, and that is when you see the Arabast. Hundreds of them have taken to the skies, and they are beginning to move closer to the church. That being said, I am going to turn a card as you guys begin advancing to see how much time you have. Okay. So the card that I turned, and let me put us on the path real quick, is the Compelling Voice. Once again, it is invisible. Its meanings are secrets, ravens, books, and flame. Meanings: control, domination, persuasion. The right voice can command an army. In word or song, the compelling voice bids us to do something we might not do otherwise. It moves us, frightens us, appeals to our sense of reason. Those who master such a technique have a weapon in their arsenal equal to any other. Because the Secrets family is related to books, however, it is worth considering that the voice in question might actually come in the form of a written message. The speaker might be an author instead. Mostly, however, the compelling voice is considered to be the outsider of the Secrets family. We follow the voice. We are compelled by the words. The game narrative says an NPC uses influence over another to change a situation. And sensing the power of this moment and the importance of the success of your mission, Everett, as you are dragging, as you guys are moving back to the church through the door, you see Shia unable to stop chanting for fear of failing this ritual. She glances one eye out to the church and through the open door of the nave, and signs something in air, which I think you have spent enough time around her to know that this is a divine sigil. And she draws it in the air around her. She brings her hand up and clenches it and crushes it in a fist. And that is when the sound of wings flapping gets joined by the sound of even more wings. I need to change the music.
Oh, is the cavalry here?
Could be. From the sky above you, what looks to be a series of falling meteorites in nature, almost like shooting stars in the middle of this unending day, begin raining towards the battlefield, two of them larger than any that could possibly be. As they rocket towards the earth in front of you, all of you have the instinct to take cover. Even those in the church begin to brace themselves until the meteorites, these shooting patterns, slow and stop. And all of you see surrounding you what look to be a number of angelic and divine figures as a host of angels of the Silver Sun arrives on the battlefield to assist the protection of the church. Those two massive meteorites begin to spiral and converge as one of the remaining kind of embossed and company of Erebast that are at the front on the opposite side of the battlefield rocket into their placement. And 12 wings unfold as the siblings Arakiel and Athariel, the angels of law and justice, unfold, step off of kind of from their embrace, wielding the torch of truth and the hammer of law. The two of them bring to bear and begin carving through the Erebast in front of them. I need everybody to tell me what you're doing as we are moving into the finishing moves portion of this battle. Because you have been joined by the angels, your target number for me to hit you goes up to 14. However, with the addition of this flying force above you, their target number now and their numbers together make their target number 15. So who is rolling for the third phase of this engagement?
Oh man.
Good question.
Who rolled last time? Just as a reminder.
Well, it was
Okris and Kieran. And also we touched our noses, so you guys.
My vote is Allegra.
All right. Allegra.
That's very mature of you.
Thank you.
Allegra, grab 2d6 of one color, third of another, and we are going to see, remember, if you get doubles and you get stunt points, you tell me.
Before we do this, can I do something first?
Absolutely. What would you like to do?
Narratively, anyway. Standing atop the bell tower, I think, Allegra looks over at her two groups advance on her left and on her right, one on each floating spire. And then I think she takes a deep breath and invokes her secret soul. I am in control. I am in command. We have a plan and you are entrusted with its execution. Do not be afraid. The logic is sound. I am the watcher atop the tower and I see all. And I think for those who have a line of sight to Allegra, you see her transform into a tall woman clad entirely in white, distant and aloof, a paragon of vast knowledge and clear logic. A silver rapier rests at her hip, and in her hand she holds scales, like depictions of Lady Justice in the gray, but an echo only of the Angel of Justice on the battlefield. Except in this case, she is not blindfolded. Instead, her eyes glow like two lone windows atop of a watchtower, each alight with a single burning candle. This is the commander of the resistance, and she will hold the line.
Excellent. Hold the line you must.
At that moment, I think, because is that before or after the angels go, Allegra?
I think it's probably like after. I think as she sees the angels go forward, like she'll kind of pull this up.
I'm gonna say that as they were crashing down to the ground, Kieran peaced out and went up to your parapet and is like on the ground and sees this whole transformation, and then like at the end of it goes, "Love the new look."
I think she turns to you, like her head very slowly, blinking, like unflinchingly, emotionless, like searchlights, like a lighthouse burning in the dark. And she goes, "A look indeed, but a defense it will be for all of us."
Excellent. Remind me, what are the mechanical benefits of your secret soul form?
Great question. It is knowledge based. Let's see. My character's intellect pool is refreshed and gains 3 bene, and the character knows the answer to any one question.
Do you want to know the answer to that question now?
This is a great question for you, Zach. Can I hold it, or do I have to do it now?
I'm going to turn a card. We'll see what the deck says. Okay. All right. Card is the Weeping Priest, Apprentice. Betrayal, weakness, turnabout, disillusionment, and lost. The priest sits alone, filled with sadness or remorse. What has happened? What's causing his misery? Happiness, success, and good fortune are fragile things, easily taken away by the cruel hand of fate. This is particularly true when there's a probably unseen weakness in a plan. An NPC changes their mind about something is lost. The Weeping Priest is almost always an unwelcome card. It indicates a surprise reversal and is almost always bad. It suggests there's an unexpected weakness in the plan to deal with at the matter at hand. Do I weep most for the wrongs I have witnessed or those I have committed? That, I believe, means you get this question now. What do you want to know?
Actually, I will go right off that reading, that theme. Her question is going to be, where is the weakness in our plan?
The weakness is that you are misjudging how expendable all of these people are to your enemy. Because if they can't stop you and secure this asset, they might make sure that nobody else can take it or have it.
I think knowing that Allegra issues a command to the troops using her kind of mental ability to communicate, all forces, slow down, reserve your magic, hold your fire until they are in range, and do not engage until the moment you have to. Remember, you are expendable to them. Protect yourself and your life when you can, if you can. If you cannot, be prepared to die, but know this, the enemy will not hesitate. The enemy will take your life. Act accordingly.
As you say this, the cube is now about the size of a Rubik's Cube. It is continuing to spin in the air and getting larger. I need you to make your roll.
All right.
You're trying to hit a 15. I am trying to hit a 14.
Okay, and I get a +1, yes.
You get a +3. You are outnumbered 3-1, but you are that I will say that your knowledge of the situation will cancel that negative out. So you have +3 to your roll. I have +2.
All right. That is math. 12.
All right, 13.
Wait, that is 12 straight on the dice plus the 3, so
okay.
15.
Okay. 15 does hit my set of troops. Did you stunt?
Yes, actually I did.
Okay, how many points?
3.
Okay. You have 3 points. Your target number to end this engagement or to have a crisis point is going to be 10. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So, describe for me what it looks like as the troops begin beating back these aerial kind of reinforcements of the Arabast. What does this look like to you?
I mean, to Allegra, this looks very much like a chessboard, like a game, except a deadly one, and one upon which people are losing their lives. That it is like a game of chess with the highest stakes you can imagine, but her vantage point is from the player playing the game, because she is so high up and removed from it, with the exception of the forces in the air, which are level with her eye. I think as she watches this, she's commanding the Vance. She's watching the approach of the Arabast and issuing such commands as hold, and then now pull, fire. And at those moments, Vances begin casting their magic. Long streams of fiery flame, long like gusts of wind that blow some of the Arabast off course. All types of Vancian magic are at play here. Things are being transfigured in the air into different things. Other enemies are being slowed while some are accelerating. It's a very surreal pastiche of what you can imagine almost like a three-dimensional chess game might look like.
Absolutely. I think at some point Arwen sees that the makers are struggling with the arcane mortar and begins directing them with the perspective that you've given them. No, target over there, the placement over there. They're beginning to move forward. And once again, just salvos of arcane munitions are being fired off. Okris, where is the last gasp in all of this?
The last gasp has, notably after laughing at the warning that we're all expendable, they've reinforced themselves in lines, pretty much immediately adjacent. They are the last line of defense, so they're there to be a reserve force. So when there's a break in the line, they're there to plug the line. But they're close. Once they fall, there will be only Mott left.
All right. Everett, Kieran, whoever wants to go next, what are you guys doing?
Kieran is walking down the stairs from this parapet that he just bamped up to and kind of like redoing, his clothes, pulling on his things and taking a rest action.
Okay. Smart. Go ahead. Excellent. Everett, what are you doing?
Mott is reinforcing the barricades against the door and is relining up almost frantically the remaining pathwalkers at his disposal to get a barrier between both the door themselves as well as the generals, as they are the very last line of defense. And if anything gets through into the church, they need to sort of be prepared to curb stomp it immediately. Mott is just radiating with dark and purple magics that seems to be effusing him. There's a slight tremor in both of his fists as he's furiously pacing. You can still read the lasting horror that was on Chaya's face still on his mask. It seems to not be shifting.
Excellent. Okay. Excellent. Not excellent, but you know what I mean.
If we have the opportunity to take an action, I would also like to refresh my sorcery pool. Dear God.
You may do that.
You know what? That's fair. I will in my pacing, I will also do that.
Okay.
Because that last ability emptied me, left me at 1.
Let me double check. You guys still have only used one rest action, right?
I don't think I've used any rest actions at the start of. Do you mean for everything that we've done, or just for this mission?
Operation? For
this operation,
I don't think I've done any.
I think you've done 1 or 2.
I did a 10-minute and a 1 action.
Okay.
Oh, that was I did a long one when we had the chance.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
Down.
So, Allegra, the cube is spinning again larger. It is getting to about this size by this size, is spinning. And as it is spinning, it is kind of almost like falling on in the air as if it is impacting on the ground and rolling. You think that the spell is coming to an end. I need you to roll your next command. All right. You're getting very lucky right now, by the way.
Woohoo! Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so 5 plus 3, 14 this time.
Okay, 14. 14 does not hit, but my 12 does not. You begin, once again, your forces are trading fire back and forth. as things are beginning to kind of look almost like this stalemate. I think that the morale of having these angels arrive from the sky, take flight and fight your enemy is probably having a profound effect on your troops as they realize the gravity of this battle.
I think Allegra also takes this moment to issue a command to Arwen's unit on the top of one of the other spires to protect the Black Cube, to stop focusing on the offensive and focus on the defensive of this cube being created and summoned.
Yeah, you as you bark that, as you issue that order, she looks to Ardeno. Ardeno nods as they exchange a look, and Ardeno books it down the tower in order to place a shield spell in proximity to the casters. So we're gonna roll again as we still have this stalemate. Again, the cube is rolling. And it is now large. It is, I would say it's about 12 inches by 12 inches on each side. So let's roll again.
Okay.
All right. I cannot for the life of me actually succeed on hitting you.
I actually did a great, that was a good roll. That's 16.
Okay, 16. Did you stunt?
No stunts.
Okay. 16. You seem to be getting the upper hand in this case. What does this look like on the battlefield? As again, these forces are beginning to falter.
I think it looks like the fighting almost starting to look more orderly in lines, in rows. You know, it looks like battlefield containment, battlefield control. It's knowing where the enemy is and containing them at specific spots. It is making order out of chaos, because that is Allegra's bread and butter. That is what she does. And as commander of this resistance, at the moment of this defense, that is what she will continue to do. And as she looks out over this battlefield spread before her and she sees things coming into line, I think a half smile quirks up her face, even in the midst of her concentration, because she sees that she is winning.
Okay. And then it wobbles and it stops, and one of the faces lights up as something begins to extrude out of it. I need you to make another roll. Ooh, that one was better.
Ooh, well, that was a little worse for me. Let's see, that's 2 and 3, 13.
Okay. 13.
But stunned also.
Okay. 13 does, you have to hit the target number in order to count your stun points.
Oh, okay.
I stunted with 6 points. As I hit 16. So as I believe you kind of, as soon as you have this orderly formation, that is when you see a bunch of the Erebas seem to kind of pause in the sky. And then they begin dive bombing the troops on the ground. Each of their impact, each of them, it seems to has this kind of effulging darkness coming out of it as you see figures on the hills overlooking the battlefield on the opposite side, dark robed figures beginning to make way. One of them seemingly has a raised hand, and these Erebas begin dive bombing, resulting in massive explosions of darkening power across the battlefield as you lose one contingent on the northeast side of this 4-way plaza. Okay.
I think Allegra takes this moment to shout to everyone up, move. They've breached the gate. The Vespertine are here.
Okay. So this is getting down to the wire. At any point the crisis action can take place. Roll again.
All right. It's the same.
Okay.
13.
All right. 11 is what I got. So again, you are still holding the line, and now that item that seems to be coming out of the box it seems to take a form. It is very ephemeral and glowing, almost orb-like, but it seems to be, as it is coming out of the cube, and as it emerges, you hear a amazing kind of the voice of singing and of many people singing all at once as this kind of warbling, glowing ball kind of begins to levitate in the air just above the cube. The cube itself is beginning to fade away and recede. You have a sense if you give them a little bit more time, they will be able to make the offer. We're gonna do one more roll, see how you do.
All right.
12? Okay. So in this case, still better than a 9. So, all right.
I'm so tense right now.
As the orb begins spinning in the air and kind of rotating and revolving, it's almost kind of like the form of a nebula. This idea of kind of like you see these constituent particles as they kind of glow with this power as the singing becomes louder and more beautiful and stronger. And just above it, you see a massive eye open. The eye itself is bright white light, as if it is waking up to the calls of your generals. We are going to roll again. All right.
You couldn't have two different ends of the spectrum. Oh.
I may have made this too hard on us.
11.
11?
Ready to die? Y'all ready to die?
Kid you not? Yeah. 6 and double ones.
Oh.
So.
You know, honestly, okay.
Well,
so,
you stunted.
You did stunt, and you also beat my 9. So
Jesus.
Wow.
This is a war of attrition.
Yeah. So I will tell you this, because it has been 5 rounds of this, and because you have that sensation that you realize that the answer to the question is coming now. So basically, you know, with your 6 points, you are at the verge of a crisis point. You are at the threshold of it. And so we're going to go ahead and have it. However, I will say that because you managed to fend off the bulk of the forces during this crucial time, everybody that takes an action in this crisis point is going to have +1 to their actions. So well done. But that is when you see raining from the sky, you hear, I have to put on a little bit more ominous music. You hear, it seems to get eerily quiet, as though the enemy and everybody in this company, in the Army of Satyrine, is holding their breath, waiting for this moment of triumph to arrive. And that is when you hear the sound of whistling munitions, dozens of them growing closer and closer to the battlefield. And these munitions are so large that they are unmistakable, as these organic munition growths begin to fly into the plaza as the enemy begins bombarding your troops with hate cysts.
Fuck.
So what is going to happen is, I think all of you just hear, "Take cover!" And as these cysts, at least one of them, out in the area in front of the church, impacts and digs into the terrain around it. I need all of you to tell me exactly what you're doing and where you are.
Question.
Uh-huh.
If I had something that lasts, that I have to refresh every round, or I have to check for a failure every round, is it just gone, or is it still up?
I will.
For instance, say a super high level armor ability.
I remember this. Let me go ahead and turn a card for you.
Because like technically I'm supposed to check all the time, but like we've been in narrative
Many rounds.
Many rounds. So statistically,
so this card I drew is the Forbidden Game. This was more appropriate, I think, for Allegra, but the temptation to partake in the game is strong, but you know it shouldn't. It's dangerous, it's forbidden, it's far more than it seems. It may appear to be a simple diversion, a pastime. The game isn't like life, it's better, it's more realistic. A leader uses elaborate plans to get what they want. A military leader develops intricate strategies as they prepare their soldiers. People are engaged in some kind of game or sport. Weavers playing the spider's game become important to the matters at hand. I will say this. You feel like as this moment arrives, as all of you understand the gravity of what you're witnessing, as the enemy has decided to forego trying to grab the refugees, you feel a force at work, Okris, empowering you. And where you probably would have lost that spell, you feel it active. So I will say that your high level spell, your armor, is still up.
Yeah. Well, it's technically a super jacked Forte ability that I've pumped to the point of ridiculousness, but sweet.
Okay.
Cool. I feel less squishy.
Yeah.
Okris is covered. So Okris is still wearing this inky black armor, which has been kind of manifest around them, which seems to suck in and absorb both light and sound and life.
Yeah. Okay, so you find yourself kind of armored with this Aegis of reality. Allegra, you are witnessing this from the top of the tower. What are you doing? Where are you?
Yeah, I think watching in horror as these hate cysts are raining down, I think she's shouting mentally, down, down, if you can hear me, shield, to everyone who will listen. Remind me, are hate cysts thinking beings?
They think, but it's kind of like, think of it like a Dalek. The only thing it feels is hatred. It's basically emotion, like leaves of emotion weaved together, almost like you are forging and folding metal. It's how much hate has been folded into it.
Cool. I think what she will do is, and I imagine she can't do this, with a very, very wide range, but she can do this with a specific range at long range. She would like to cast the Gamma Advanced spell, Sabuchin's Static Field, level 7 +1 die. Okay. All thoughts within long range except my own are scrambled. Thinking beings can take no action. Noosphered entities take mental damage equal to the spell's level once. Okay. Depletion 0, check each round.
I will tell you this, the Cysts, as long as when you roll your 2 dice, you hit 10 on both dice, the cyst will not be able to take an action against you. It will still, however, generate a field. So just know that as you are going forward. Now make your roll. You're trying to beat a 10.
Remind me, what am I adding to each die?
7. And if you elevate the spell, right. I think Vancian spells count for 1 level more, don't they?
Yes.
Okay, so you need to hit 2 twice.
Okay. And that's a 2 and a 6.
Awesome. Okay. You have, as this thing is thinking hatred, I think all of your troops even have this kind of disconcerting field because it scrambles their thoughts, right? A lot of your troops may be impaired by this action.
You knew that?
Yeah, but at the same time, it may save them in the long run. Okay. Okris, you checked on your spell. Did you want to, where are you and what action are you taking?
Okris dumped Maduin like a sack of potatoes in the church. And when as Mott boarded up, they headed back to the fields.
Okay. All right.
They're out on the field with their troops, just to be very clear.
Okay. All right. Cool. Good to know.
First line of defense, first to fall.
Yeah. Okay. Everett, what are you doing?
I think that the troops inside the church can start hearing the screams of get down and shield. and possibly now some of the screams. And he has like one arm out to the pathwalkers that he still commands as he sees like two of them almost try to break rank and head out past the barricade, and just sort of lets out a command. If you have any shields or barriers, now is the time to get them up, but we do not move from our positions.
Okay. Good. They are going to heed this. Shia has found her way over to Maduin. The spell has been cast. That effulging, glowing ball that it was levitating in the air, it seems to be enfolded by one of what seem to be several dozen pairs of wings, as the eye seems to be emerging from this kind of cloudy, foggy kind of miasma. As you recognize, it is the gaze of the unknowable angel moving to take its prize. Kieran, what are you doing?
Kieran came into the place where the generals were summoning the Black Cube and used the invocation that he received, the hide in the room of noise. By warping vision and sound around you, become invisible and remain so until you move, and found a place where he could see both the ritual being summoned and Mott, who he saw be mind controlled earlier and is not letting him out of his sight.
Yeah.
And just waiting.
While
not moving.
Excellent. Everett, while you are in the church, you do not seem to see Marla.
I will say that the minute that Mott sees Chaya move over to Maduin, like he gives a sharp like whistle, and the line forms up around Maduin and Chaya almost immediately.
Okay, cool. So now it's the Cysts' turn, and the troops. Okris, I need you to. Okay. This is hard. Because you are dealing with the last gasp and you are dealing with yourself. You are going to make 2 rolls, okay? You're going to roll to withstand the field of the hate cyst, and you are going to roll to withstand the field for the last gasp. So I need you to hit 10 twice.
Okay. I do have 7 armor.
Okay. So this seems to be a magical effect.
Okay, cool. And everything, the other part of that is all enemies within near range of me take 7 damage per round.
Okay. Yeah, I think that as you are near this cyst and like moving closer, it seems to wither, but it seems fairly, still kind of fairly vital. Okay. So I need you to make those resistance rolls for them and for you.
I'm just making sure you know. Withstand, I have, that's the one I'm bad at.
Remember,
no, that's not the one I'm bad at. I have 1 in withstand. I'm going to spend a sortilege. So I have 1 in that. I have a +1 from general shenanigans.
Yeah, from the I will say because of Allegra's leadership, you guys still have +1 to all of your actions. Remember to retain this.
So I've got +2 to my venture, and I am rolling 2 dice.
Okay.
That's hot garbage. That'll be a 6 after adding 2.
Okay. Now, remember, you can make sacrifices in order to succeed. Now I need you to roll for the last gasp.
Am I, is this D6s?
Yeah. No, these are, D10s. No, D10s.
This should be D10s. Okay. Yeah. I rolled D10s for me. Because it was a withstand. I wasn't sure for the last gasp.
The last gasp, because they are a collective unit and they're pretty ride or die, are going to have +4.
Dope. And I just roll 1 dice for them?
2.
2. Okay.
Actually, as a collective unit, I will give them 3 dice because they're a bunch of magic users all using power at the same time.
Okay. Am I assigning a magic dice to 1 or 2 of those?
To 2.
Okay. The non-super dope ceramic dice is... I'm gonna make a sacrifice. I just managed to roll 3 3s.
Okay. All right, so I think that Root has sprinted past you into the church and bounds up one of the tower. I think all of you are kind of taken aback at how quickly this living kind of mound, this kind of garbage golem can move. As all of you, within the last gasp, you begin laughing hysterically. And Twigg, you remember this. You remember the moment when you flashed back to the battlefield and you watched all of your compatriots collapse laughing within the field of a hate cyst. As you are moving, I think you are beginning to be overtaken by this hideous, repulsive laughter, this need, as it begins bending your spine back with the force with which you are laughing. You see Root bounding out of the front door carrying an arcane munition. It's big mortar round as it leaps, as Root leaps into the face of this cyst, as its mouth yawns open to begin speaking gibberish. He looks past you and looks back in front of him and takes the munition and crunches it into the teeth of this thing, completely destroying the cyst with the munition.
I assume my friendly neighborhood garbage boy is caught in that.
He is. There is, both of them explode in a dazzling array of light. And you feel that compelling effect subside.
Wow.
That is the cysts go.
Okris is just gonna tuck and roll. Everything dies.
Okay.
Or emotionally tuck and roll. Not literally. And they just yell out, "Last gasp! On your feet!"
I will tell you this, the moment that you shared that gaze with Root, this understanding and acceptance of the sacrifice that needed to happen to save all of your company, you gain a joy as you realize that he accepted his ending. Okay. Top of the round. Allegra, you're up.
Okay, Allegra will first cast her Rajamal's Reckless Haste. That gives her the ability to have 2 actions per turn. So that's, let me see, find it. Rajamal's Reckless Haste. Scrolling.
By the way, quick thing, just point of order. Did you release Subuchin's static field?
No.
Okay, so you spent the sorcery for it.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
The other thing, can you give me a depletion roll for that?
Yes, I do need to do that. It's not deplete.
Okay, cool. Yeah, as far as you can tell, nothing else is kind of like, it seems to also have a profound effect on the encroaching forces, which seem to be moving slower. I apologize, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What are you doing?
Question actually about Vancian magic versus general spells. Because Vancian magic is like, we clothe ourselves in them and then cast, can I cast another Vance spell while holding an existing Vance spell? And is that the same for a general spell and a Vance spell, or different?
It's the same. It is, you can cast multiple spells. I will say you can usually kind of concentrate on one.
One, right.
But I will say this, if you release the spell and lock off that part of your brain, I will let you have 2 ongoing effects.
Okay, yeah. Right, so what she's going to cast now is Rajamal's Reckless Haste. That's level 4. Throwing caution to the wind, I can take an additional action this round and 2 actions next round. However, in my Mad Haste, these actions suffer a -1 penalty.
Which is negated by
yes,
the
my
bonus.
+1.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's just flat 0. And so that's action 1, and then action 2 here. Does that have to be to continue to sustain the other spell, or can I do something different?
What, for your second action to sustain
Yes.
it? No,
Yeah.
I will let you do something else.
Okay, cool. Then what I will do for my second action here is pop one of my ephemera, my Sortilege Bolus, I think. So that is a black pill that allows me to regain 4 bene to my Sortilege.
Nice.
Level 3.
Excellent. Okay, your Sortilege is refilled. Was it Okris? Okris, you're next, right?
I guess.
Yeah. Sorry, I went weird with the initiative order, guys.
Oh yeah, because I was reacting to the hate cyst attack. Okay. Yeah. So Okras has just rallied their troops.
Okay. So what mechanical action would you like to take? To just you can try to take a defense action. I can give you a bonus. You can try to repel enemies. I will grant a bonus to the other players. What would you like to do?
I would like to. What's the nemesis of my enemy?
The nemesis of your enemy. I can give you. I will say that it's probably the Monarch. I will give you the effect of the Monarch if you want to accelerate the current or to.
Yeah. Okras is going to take the kind of the joy and the mixture of joy and sorrow and channel that into their magic. And once again, they raise clarity, their enkindled sledgehammer up, and shatter the boundaries between this world and the currents. And you watch as the magical currents that we all tap into begin flowing faster and faster and faster, as they introduce raw entropy into the current of magic.
I will actually say, because of the theme of this, and also because that card is not the antithesis of your enemy. The antithesis of your enemy is the revolutionary. So basically, you feel this entropic energy, this chaos coming to the fore, as though you've rolled a die and it's finally coming up your way. Everybody, you are affected by having the sovereign card in play. Everybody's actions get +2. You have +3 running so far. Okay. Kieran and Everett. Kieran, I believe you went up next, right?
Kieran has not moved, still invisible, and is watching. I get what are the generals doing right now?
The generals are beginning to move. Give me a perception roll, actually, as you're kind of looking around.
Sure. Am I rolling that with my bonuses?
Yes.
Okay. And I'll spend a bene on that. I invoked my secret soul earlier this morning.
Okay.
So I'm rolling with a +5 +6 from a bene. So here we go.
Okay.
That's a 14 all day.
Okay. With a 14, you didn't realize this. Legend is standing guardian over you, basically acting as Overwatch within the church. The Spider Prince is surveying and kind of making an assessment. With the 14, I will say Nehaeron is beginning has clasped his hands together and is beginning to, it seems in reverie, and is beginning to say a prayer. The next thing that you will notice is that Zaleska, I think, seeing how integral the defense of the church is, you watch as she splinters and fractures into another splinter of herself. There are now 2 Zaleskas one of them is beginning to move to the front of the nave.
And the last thing, Kieran turns his attention to the Unknowwable Angel. What is it doing?
You see it begin to it is beginning to flap its wings, and the miasma of fog is beginning to suffuse the area of the church. It is beginning to seep down as well as up.
Do I have any idea what this thing is, what it got out of this?
With that 14, I will tell you whatever it looked like, it seemed to have accessed now to this powerful artifact. Whatever it was, it seemed to have this strange kind of almost nebula-like consistency, and it was speaking as it was being brought into the possession of this angel.
Does Kieran think that this Unknowable Angel has any ulterior motives, like would go back on its word, would not do what we think it's going to do.
Give me a magical knowledge roll.
Seeing through deception.
Absolutely.
So this is again a +6.
Okay.
That's an 8 all day. Yikes.
Okay. So as far as you know, it really depends on the deal, the colloquy that the Goetic is able to have. Basically, it depends on their skill to basically negotiate the terms of an arrangement. An effective Goetic, you will not. It will be very hard to break an arrangement. For an ineffective Goetic, demons and angels will find loopholes. However, you know that Shia is one of the finest Goetics of her time.
And if this were a demon in disguise, I'd see its demon symbol. So yeah, that's what Kieran does.
Yeah, you do not see a demonic symbol attached to this thing as it begins to grab this. I will say, however, there is one thing that trying to think of what you might notice. That's what you get, I think, with a 14. You see pretty much the whole layout. Everett, what are you doing?
So question, are the Erebus still a threat on the field?
They are beginning to move forward, but they're moving slowly. They're getting closer and closer to the church. You have seen, I think at this point, maybe several of these scores of angel have begun to fall. And that is... Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We never specified what exactly the project looked like that Madrin and I were working on to revive some of these Erebus. So if you don't mind, I'm going to take a little artistic liberty.
Absolutely.
I think Mott, seeing through some of the stained glass windows, can kind of see even through the fractured color and muted lens of the battlefield, as they only really have the one broken window from on high that he crashed through. He runs up to where some of the injured are sitting, and including Majuin and Chaya. Can't bring himself to look over at Chaya or Majuin, but does grab an object that is nearby and furtively runs away to the broken window that he initially flew out of. And pulling off the cloth, there is this clockwork phonograph that is decorated in a very strange way. There's a bunch of gears that are still see-through. It's almost like the project was not yet finished. There are different colored feathers that are decorating the base of it. And it looks like the broken beak of a dead Arabast is the actual phonograph itself. And he starts cranking the gear. Mm-hmm. And this eerie sound starts playing from it that is half bird song, half desperate, dissonant cry. And I'm going to be using one of my disruptions that I can use to disrupt the Erebus for 2 rounds.
Excellent. As you do this, I think that you hear this dissonant cry, and it begins, it's like a call and a response. There is a responding cry as you see all of these Erebus that are flying within the field of this sound begin to drop out of the sky, and those that are on the ground begin gripping their heads in absolute torture and pain. You see one of them, however, fly through this. It seems to have a much tougher guard, as it were. And that is when I believe it's the Cysts' turn. At this point, you see 3 more beginning to sail towards the church. And finally, with that perception roll, Kieran, you hear Nehaeron's prayer. I need to change the music real quick. You see him sign something out of his folded hands in the air. And he says, I pray to thee, Queen King Quis Maramba Havyal, to rise in defense of your people. My words are true. My need is true. By the 4 states of truth, verifiable fact, unimpeachable words, the truth of faith and inner truth, and by the 4 actions of truth, speaking, acting, honoring, and teaching, I beseech your protection, that the omni-illumination of your light reveal the truth in all of us, and repel that which would enshroud us in darkness. And all of you see something colossal appear in the air around the church as it begins to fracture and fragment and form these massive, almost glass-like structures around the church. And you recognize that it is a figure, a massive colossus that you realize is a Sun Warden. All of you, both in the simulacrum and outside of it, recognize instinctually the Warden of the Indigo Sun. What do they look like for each of you? Everett, what do you see?
What does Everett see or what does Gav see? This is very important.
Both.
Okay. My God. Wasn't expecting this one. I think that Everett sees many different things at once, as if they're very hard to coalesce into any sort of quantifiable form. His time in the night side in the accidental space has warped many of his perceptions of his ability to actually truly be a Vizsla any longer or to properly belong to the Indigo Sun. Is he even supposed to be here? It's unknown. He wants to desperately, but never quite has felt that he has earned that place again since he has been so long outside of it. I think he actually sees a prison warden, fully larger than life, with a fractured face that almost looks like a mosaic of many different pieces of different colored masks. There's no real vision there. There's a cacophony of noises and sounds of jail cells slamming, of locks being turned, of a door shutting over and over and over again. And the vision just is shaking and will not stop and will not coalesce into something solid.
And what does Gavriel see?
Gavriel sees a phoenix. Completely on fire and emerging from the inferno with brilliant red and gold and blue and green. She feels the blood rising within her, even though she's in this nebulous space. She feels inevitably drawn to this figure like she never has before. And for a woman that has never bought the idea of the actuality, who has utterly belonged to the gray in all ways, shapes, and forms, I think at the heart of this massive firebird, she sees something like glowing in the embers that makes the Star of David that she wears on her chest burn against her.
Excellent. What does Kieran see?
I think Kieran sees what I think at first he takes to be a tailor. Here comes the Warden. The fine gloves, the tools in the breast pocket, the immaculate attention to detail in their outfit, but then sees some details that look out of place, an apron that's too heavy, and an appearance that doesn't suggest artistry, and he realizes that this is a coroner.
What does Maurice see?
Maurice sees blinding light and cannot make out any features.
Excellent. What does Okras see?
Okras sees a shape very similar to a lacuna, and just visions of just almost blindingly fast of the death of 1,000 half-worlds, pocket dimensions, planes, just flash by in seconds. Seems like it takes an eternity, and it seems like it's gone in a blink of an eye.
Gone, but the truth of them remains. What does Twigg see?
The birth of 1,000 new worlds in a similar manner. Just rapacious and new life, new formations, all the potential of a world left barren.
What does Allegra see?
Allegra sees her mother, Arcadia Valiant, the Vance of the 5th degree. Strong, stalwart, kind, with sharp eyes, clear water blue, light like the sky heralding the sun about to rise, wildly intelligent and aflame. She sees also a series of sounds, the rustle of her mother turning pages at her desk, creaking wood and windows filled with golden light, the crinkle of her forehead in concentration, a midnight blue light and the crunch of shattered glass underfoot. She sees the smell of blackened cardamom, sweet cream, and a twist of smoke. Her mother's magic was most powerful in its refraction, like light bouncing off a mirror, and her research was in many ways a reflection of her. After all, Allegra thinks as she looks into the Warden's face. With mirrors, it's more about the looking than the glass.
And what does Kyrrie see?
Kyrrie sees the text. Kyrrie sees the text of the war report shining through. The empty face of this Warden allows her to see the words, to understand the words on the page, not just the experience that's been built for them in this engine, in this animus, but the actual documented words that were written by the people who lived through this encounter.
And all of you see this as Queen King Quis shelters the church, acting as an unbreakable bulwark against the destruction of Satyrine's refugees. And then Nehaeron's face frowns and the sky darkens. An aperture, impossibly large and impossibly wide, opens, and through it barrels a titanic beast. In the same way that when you looked at Quis, all you saw was the truth of this entity and what it meant to you, what the truth was. This thing is multifaceted and horrifying in the duplicity and the facets and angles of its shapes as it impacts Quis, its gigantic maw opening to bite into the core of this creature. the impact brings its massive body of both of these titanic figures impacting into the church. And I think all of you in horror, you watch as parts of one of the towers begins to cave in. In slow motion, things seem to fall apart. That said, you watch as the Unknowable Angel begins disappearing. And as all of you look, I think, Everett, you see several of the pathwalkers that you are commanding beginning to transluce and beginning to seemingly fade from this sun. And I think that, however, whatever is transpiring, whatever deal has been made, things are beginning to unravel as these forces begin to tangle. And that is when, Kieran, you feel a hand on your shoulder as the Spider Prince looks at you and says,
Invisible?
Yes.
Okay.
He looks at you straight in your invisible face and says, I need you to stop everything for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Are we taking a break? I'm feeling a break coming.
and that is when we're going to take a break.
Yeah. Okay.
He's a boy.
Kieran, things are falling apart around you, and you see this Spider Prince looking you directly in the face saying, I need you to make everything stop.
Kieran does so immediately. He's able to include anyone close that he chooses. I don't think anyone in our party is really close by, to affect by this.
As if amplifying you,
Get the fuck out of here.
there is a kind of a number of hand gestures that are being made by several of the arms below the one set gripping you on the shoulder. And you realize it is an elaborate form of Weaver magic as your power gets boosted across this battlefield. And
Okay.
at which point the Spider Prince takes his hands off your shoulders and begins kind of walking around the church as it is in mid-collapse.
Kieran is right behind and says, why did I think I needed to keep my eye on anybody else but you?
Well, I'm at an unfair disadvantage. I have 8.
Kieran says, Everett's compromised. I don't know if that mental control will last at all.
Less compromised than you might think. And Everett, I believe you were in the church at this point.
Yes, am I affected by this?
Everybody other than Kieran is stopped. And the Spider Prince.
Yeah, I think you actually can maybe hear now
Oh.
echoing from there, just like, what happened? Who's done this? Like he's kneeling over like a frozen Chaya and Modwin right now, frantic because he's not seeing you, Kieran.
I apologize. I misspoke. Everyone is frozen except for Kieran.
Oh,
And
so
the prince.
so that would be the normal effect of
Right.
the spell if it weren't amplified. But if it's amplified, I can include other people in this non-space with me.
You get the sense that he is trying to have a talk in private with you.
Oh,
Sure.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alright.
just
I
drop a
retract
super
my
high.
statement. So what you then see can you confirm for me then, Zach? Rewind. If Shia is also starting to get that translucent fade.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you see like Mott frozen, like in mid run to her with one hand outstretched.
So a number of things become apparent as everybody but you and this entity are frozen, Kieran. One of the larger angels, Ethereal, that you would recognize, Maurice, or at least kind of, no, you wouldn't recognize, Gavriel would recognize, is making a beeline in mid-flight for Shia. As on either side of her is a heavily armored Arabast that seems to reach out with one hand bloodied towards her. And on the other side of her is Mott reaching out to grasp her. The other bloodied hand is holding the throat of Nehaeron. And he kind of walks around this, and you notice that Legend, his mastiff hound, is frozen as well, and he idly pets the top of its head as he walks past it. And he surveys all of this. I think that one of the towers is in the process of coming down. And he walks past Mott and suddenly reaches forward and grabs a form in the middle of the air, just past Mott. And you hear him mutter a curse under his breath as he says, "I have 8 eyes. You think I don't see you, fucker?" And you see a burning energy coming from the hands that are grasping. And then just he immediately lets go.
What does Kieran see? Nothing.
You see nothing. I think actually you would have been able to see. Would you have been able to see? I'm gonna turn a card real quick.
What?
All right, I drew the Raven. Jealousy, sight, trickery. Companion to the Secrets family, the Raven sees everything and tells nothing. The Raven is smarter and wiser than it ever lets on. Its intelligence, however, manifests in its crafty solutions to problems. Some might use the word cheating, in fact. The Raven's weakness is greed and jealousy. It wants what you have, and that probably means your secrets. Can you keep them from its watchful eyes? Is it even worth trying? The sights seen by the too many eyes of the Raven are beyond anyone else's ability to cope. And I think that's an appropriate card for a true spider. As you realize, I think that form, as he grabs it, becomes absolutely apparent. You recognize this black-suited, kind of formal-looking figure scream in surprised pain and then vanish from between the hands as if it was on the verge of immolation. And the Spider Prince lets its grip go. I think that might be the last of some problems for the Irreverent Mott.
Good, we've only got approximately 3 million left.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about.
This doesn't last forever. Can we hurry this up?
This was inevitable, you realize.
Go on.
There needs to be someone left. Because if there isn't, there's no one to take revenge. There's no one to root out the enemy and surprise them.
And this someone is you, I take it.
I was thinking more along you and some of your compatriots. Sorry, I realize I have to have a Texas drawl. I was thinking more along the lines of you and some of your compatriots.
Okay, so we stay behind, and everybody. I thought everybody is leaving with the angel to the Silver Sun.
I can only save a few. Most people are in the process of leaving, but there are some. He looks directly at Shia, at Everett, as this tower is falling over. Nehaeron, ripped by the throat. The tower of the Vance beginning to fall. I can't save everyone. but I can save a few who can do the most good. That includes you, I believe.
What do I need to do?
Simple. When the time comes, you're going to need to save them.
Who?
Imagine all the people that are being exiled, as it were.
All right, but what do we do now?
He thinks about it for a moment.
You know, you never told me what happened to the council. I never even confirmed your membership.
Well,
Why should I believe anything you're telling me right now?
Well, general rules are that you shouldn't believe anything a true spider tells you, but really, I'm not a full true spider, so does that mean that you can only half trust what I say?
I half want to kick your ass.
You are more welcome to try. Certainly larger demons have flexed their powers and come up wanting.
This spell has a depletion every round. So, are we? I think Kieran's feeling this, feeling the time running out.
And he says, I wish I had more time to tell you all these things, but I think it was more important that you ended up spending as much time with your compatriots as you did, realizing that maybe some of these people are more important than you give them credit. But I think I'm up now, and maybe we'll get to talk a little bit more after I finish. And he rolls up the sleeves on one set of arms, locks his hands, and begins bowing his head. And there is a rift that opens as he begins speaking a murmuring language that you do not recognize. This kind of fissure opens in the air around him, and the other arms kind of gesture as if to move things into position, moving people, places. You see, I think, as he reaches out a hand towards Shia and towards the angel attempting to grapple with her, as well as this creature, and he compresses his hand, and you see something shunt, some sort of light shunt out of Shia and into a larger light from this angel, and then pulled out of this kind of, you see the form of this Erebas kind of compress into it as well. And he says, "Don't mind me, I'm just rewriting a better ending." And he pulls one arm up to pull a number of people from under the tower. And as the fissure widens, you see constellations of eyes looking in, all of them shining like garnets and rubies, watching what is transpiring. He begins to float upwards, and he uses an ability called Machina Ex Deus, the contrivance from God. And I think all of you, I think Kieran, you are removed from your immediate surroundings. Allegra, you are also similarly removed. Okris, I believe you were still outside the church, right? And I need to turn a card for Everett. Actually, Everett, more than anything else, you want to be with these people, right?
Yes. Specifically Chaya, but I know what you were going for.
Yeah. Everett, the quality of the light changes before your eyes. And when time reasserts itself, the Nightmare Prince is standing surrounded by Allegra, Okris, and Kieran. And all of you watch as the church, some distance away from all of you, crumbles. Allegra, you are surrounded by your Vances. Abron and the Makers surround you as well, Kieran. And I think that as the Spider Prince looks at all of you, he says, "Oh, good. That took a lot." And he sits down and collapses. And you notice that he only has one pair of hands and arms and one pair of eyes. Everett, when you open your eyes, you find the quality of the light bright and shimmering. And that is when your consciousness, as created by the war report, leaves. And I need to change the music.
So are we just standing there surrounding this dude who just collapsed that like this one fucking general dickhead, and like I'm not in the trenches anymore and the building just fucking collapsed?
Yeah.
Forgive my friend.
And time's back.
Time is back.
And Gav is no longer in the war report.
No.
Oh my god.
What the fuck was that?
And the Spider Prince is collapsed at your feet.
Kieran says, well, as usual, the Spider Prince has done whatever the fuck they wanted and not told me enough about what's going on. Something about that we were the ones that needed to stay behind. I don't know. And he looks around at everybody. I don't know how many of us, but we needed to get revenge.
Okras kicks the Spider Prince a little bit to see if he's awake.
I think at which point the Spider Prince kind of opens his eyes, and I think you hear from behind you, not too far away, a familiar voice. I think of the kind of Sweetums style Muppet from the from the last gaps. So what are we supposed to do now?
Kieran looks to Allegra and says, got any bright ideas?
Allegra is standing there, tall, imperious, and very disdainful at having been transported from the top of her tower to here without her knowledge, she looks around, looks at the Spider Prince. We were winning, and then they had to intervene
Actually, I can correct you on that. We were in great danger. Maurice took them somewhere. The warden, it was attacked by a shadow. We were not winning.
We were about to lose everything. As he kind of sits up finally. Oh.
Where's Nehaeron?
He's passed. You felt that ending with the collapse of the church.
What does the rest of the battlefield look like right now?
You see all of these. I will tell you this. You see. Actually, give me a perception roll. Anybody can make this roll as well, with the exception of Everett, obviously.
All of the rolling bonuses that we had were gone?
Yes, I will say. Yeah, I will say go ahead. I'll give you 3. Everybody.
I'll take the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, if it's 3, that's an 11 for Okras.
I tied that.
10 all day for Kieran.
As all of you begin looking back towards the battlefield, you see that the enemy is encroaching on the remains of this church that has now fallen. What strikes you is that towards the part of the initial engagement, you see a number of fallen soldiers, but past that, a collection of the dead as well as a number of the rest of the units. But past that, there don't seem to be much casualties, with the exception of rival Erebast around the church.
So we lost.
We were going to lose either way. Well, I think that depends on how you look at it.
Nehaeron's gone. My contract's done. I'm gonna go find another world.
Zaleska, where's Zaleska?
And I think at that point, you hear from behind you the familiar voice of Zaleska saying, "Oh, part of me's here."
Part of you? You mean?
And there's something about her as she kind of looks at you. You realize that there is probably, she seems more frazzled and fractured than you've ever seen her before. I think that rent from the splinter that she formed, it hasn't kind of patched over.
Are you only part of yourself?
Yes, I'm afraid a part of me was lost. And she looks back to the rubble over there.
Well, I'm pleased at least a part of you survived. That's something.
And I think that the Spider Prince finally stands up with some trouble, you realize, and looks to all of you and said, "I apologize. I rewrote the story. I had to give something up, but the operation as it stands was a success."
So what about us? What about everyone that's left? We had something to do?
Well, how do I put this? We were destined to lose this war. It was inevitable. I could see it from my web. I felt the tug. What I have tried to do is rewrite the ending such that this is only a small valley leading to a rising action and a more satisfying denouement. Consider yourselves a part of the resistance now.
No, fuck you. And Okras turns and walks away. Back towards the last gasp.
Kieran turns to see this exit and looks at Mott.
Mott is gone. Mott is not there.
Not even here. Got it. Okay. And Kieran says, well, we're already bleeding membership.
And he looks and says, I've done my best to assist things. I have a plan, but I need more help.
It would help us all greatly if you would elaborate on what that could possibly be.
So, if any of you had stayed in that church, you all would have died. I selected you for this project. The enemy is going to begin changing the story of this battle, rewriting the world as it were. And when it's done doing that, it will find the rest of you and put you out of its misery. And he says that pointedly at Okras.
Okras turns around and you just see what is visible of their face is just very clearly a snarl. And that, I've died before and I will die again. And I don't give a shit what you say.
You are more than welcome to die continually over and over in a cell or prison of that creature's choosing, if that's how you prefer to go on. Because that is what will happen.
What makes you so qualified, sir, to concoct a plan of this sort? Why do you get to shepherd us? Why are we your pawns?
Because I'm a good storyteller.
And I'm a good strategist. Every story needs a little bit of narrative strategy. It's not all about the telling. It's about the pacing, the plot, about the way in which information is revealed. And you need strategy for that.
Has this first strategy. The enemy will continually look for you the rest of your days. But not if they don't know where to look. Most of the people they'll be seeking out have gone to the gray. You would as well, but I would hide you deeper. Multiple layers of obfuscation, if you will. And any time they go looking for you, your story would change. That illusion, whatever greets you in the gray, would become that much more impenetrable.
One problem, dumb fuck. I can't go to the gray.
Oh? How's that?
Not a Vizsla, asshole. Maybe you should have done your homework before you let Nehaeron die.
Just because you are not a Vizsla does not mean the vessel that you're riding in isn't.
Kieran sits down. He's mentally and physically exhausted at this.
Okras is so clearly fucking pissed at all of this and clearly is uncertain how to why they don't know why they're pissed. They don't know how to handle that. This is watching somebody who does not handle emotions well having emotions. And I think that body language is very evident. And like there's a lot of clenching and a lot of like just kind of like
you
like less dramatic than that, but it is the body language is 100% like.
Is this by the way, is this something rising inside of Okris, or is this pure Okris?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Okay. And he looks to all of you, says, I've saved your lives. Death was certain.
Maybe it was preferable.
This is a chance to undo what they have done. When the time is right, we will need the aid of a master spy to try to save the people that can undo this. Zaleska is watching completely, a little bit kind of dispassionate and assessing things. Even in this frazzled state, her mind is at work.
I think Allegra steps forward. And what would you have us do if your layers upon layers of deception and disguise and rewriting, if those are successful and we presumably return here when the enemy thinks that they have control, when the enemy thinks that they are supreme? What is our assignment? What is our role? If that is successful, what would you have us do?
And he looks back up in the sky where that titanic form of Quis is now fallen, spread out over what you realize is now, is an empty landscape. As Upper Taverswood, it seems, the rest of it has translused and become a barren, desolate, like wasteland. But many of its remaining landmarks seem to have been removed. And he looks and he says, precisely that. We need to... There's a hole in the world now, you realize, where the truth used to be. An abscess. And when the time is right, I hope that all of you will band together with me to assist in their resurrection. Isn't that right, Ordo? And Ordo has kind of sprinted, catching up with the rest of you, and procures something from a pack. What seems to be this encasing kind of container. It says, this is the only one I could find. That's by design. They tend to scatter. And he holds this case, and he says, the time is right. I think it's upon us to resurrect the truth and rebuild the world after it's ended. Which it has. At least the world that as we know it. And I know one of you might appreciate the endings of such things, but the other understands the importance of beginnings. And if we don't do this, there will be no more beginnings.
You don't get to define my story.
True.
You're talking about the death of truth. It's the death of your truth, not mine.
Spend enough time in these ruins and you'll realize what's at stake. And I believe that to be all truth. And on this tense moment, simulation begins to waver as the air around you takes on a gauze-like effect. And I think it is at this point that the simulation, the simulacrum, ends. And Gavriel, Maurice, Kyrrie, and Twigg all find themselves within this parlor room.
Was Gav out of, how long was Gav out of the simulation before the rest came back?
I would say that, let me turn a card and I'll tell you. The tyrannical clock again.
Fuck me.
Countdown, schedule, repetition. By the ticking of the clock. Let's see. Something good or ill approaches that everyone knows that a repetitious action figures importantly into important events. I will tell you this. I think that Gavriel, when you come back, I think you get a part of this information, but there's something that you notice about the parlor. I think some of it, you're hearing it as if through many layers of gauze while you are out of Everett's vision, or his point of view, I should say. You notice that the parlor door now has, a large arched door where one didn't exist before, and I think that kind of takes some of your attention away. But yeah, I'd say you get maybe half of this.
And there's a doorway where there wasn't before.
There is.
Is it open or is it shut?
It is cracked a little bit, and you hear the sound of someone writing on paper.
I think being thrown out slightly early and still hearing voices in her head has sent her off. And while I don't have my character sheet for that character in front of me, I will remember this later. I think you know what, DM? I'm going to ask you a question.
Hit me.
Rather than casting Eye of Amonis like I would normally do, I'd like to think that I'm automatically in that form before I can do anything about it, as I'm thrust out of it. I feel like being thrust out of this war report, there is a weird distortion in how Gav looks. There is both the Vizsla form of her. There are 12 multicolored wings on her back. For a second, she looks like how she did in the gray with her with her Soviet uniform on and her gun slung over her back. And for another second, she looks like an Arabast. And it all sort of collides together into the Eye of Amanus form. But the one that we saw when we were fighting the hate cyst, the one that looks more like Majuin, and not the rabid animal version of the enemy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that as you are making your way through the door, you see a hunched figure, robed figure with long gray hair braided down her back. And a cobalt blue streak running through the braid itself, as you hear the voice of the curator say, or the reporter say, "Just a second, I'm almost done. Would you mind bringing the rest of your compatriots in when they're ready, when the simulacrum's over for them?"
Like Gav is standing in the doorway. I think her claws are like tearing gouges into the stone.
I mean, it's all immaterial. You can do however much damage you want. I understand how frustrated you must be. I'm so sorry. And as she turns to face you, a elderly Zaleska looks at you in the face and says, I promise all of this will make sense soon. And she turns back to the report.
Gav steps into the room, swings the door fully open for the rest of her compatriots whenever they deign to re-enter the actuality, and just stands hovering over the desk, golden eyes like blaring at this woman that she now recognizes, which is a very odd feeling. It's like a memory that's not her own.
And she kind of looks back to you and says, okay, I suppose they'll be coming out now. Moralda Zaleska, it's a pleasure to meet you. I wish I could have said I met more people that would read the report, but you're the first to survive. She's extended her hand forward.
As Gav reaches out a clawed hand, the minute she shakes it, it's as if she reverts back into that Vizsla form, but more as if she's pulling the form of this other Vizsla into herself rather than having any semblance of control like she normally does when she casts this spell. And she just goes, no, we haven't met, but in another life we did.
Yes. The simulacrum is tied to only the people that were in the report or to those who shared a profound bond with them. I suppose you must have been tied to one of the Caderak.
You could say that.
I wish things had gone differently. I really do.
Something tells me that that was not quite in your control.
No.
But I think that we are the additional chapter to your report.
I hope so.
I'll make it so.
Good. And she looks at you and says, as long as you are willing, that's the most important part. You have to be willing.
You taking on the enemy. The real enemy.
Yes. That's the hope.
Well then. I think I owe them some long overdue revenge.
Good. Good. I'm just so tired. It's been so long. I've started to lose a part of myself. I think I might be the only splinter left.
I saw briefly that you cut yourself into many pieces in the battle. How did you get here?
Well, I was the last one, and somebody has to write the history. Somebody has to know what we went through, what we did.
Because how can you know your future if you don't understand your past?
Exactly. And the hope is that the right people, when they were ready, would find the report. I have to assume that those are you.
My name is Gavriel. She stops before she says her last name and thinks hard for a moment. There's a flash of pain in her eyes as if she's not quite sure to say it. And then she says, my name is Gavriel Kazan.
And there is a look of smiling recognition as her eyes tear a little, and she says, I am so glad to finally meet you, Gavriel Kazan. And
I'm glad to meet you too.
And she, not waiting for a handshake, she brings you into an embrace. The robes that she wears are thin like paper, like her skin. Her hair silver and bright white in streaks, along with that cobalt. And she sits back down, and you realize this desk is this elaborate kind of Vancian affair that you've probably could easily picture Kyrrie sitting in front of, but it's spare, and the room that she's enshrouded in, it's like a fortress made of books, like this was her sanctuary. And you realize as you look through this kind of window past the desk that it's overlooking nothing. Sepia. It's a view into nowhere. It must have been incredibly lonely for her.
Gavriel takes that in, and in a weird way, all of the books and the studying, she understands some of that from a tactical perspective, but a lot of it is beyond her, and she's thinking to herself, well, I think I understand where Kyrrie gets it from. And but feels that intense loneliness, and Gav has this, it's very strange. Mott certainly wasn't close to Zaleska, but it is in a weird way one of the first familiar faces that she actually feels a connection to for the first time, of having this awareness of having been in a body and a mind that cared so much for this world, and Gav feeling so detached from it, feels that last remaining tie of the empathic as it's giving way, that connection to the loneliness, and feeling it intently as the last strands of it dissipate, as her heart restores fully into that ardency, and pulling from that this promise of there will be a reckoning for this.
And she looks into you, I think seeing some of this, and from one end of her desk, she pulls an object that looks to be a kind of leaden container of some kind, and pulls it close and puts it into her lap as she sits back down and says, I would love to meet you and the rest of your friends.
Well, they should be here, but they were never very punctual.
I've got all the time in the actuality.
Is there another chair that's in her room?
I think as you think of it, these chairs kind of apparatus.
She takes a seat in one of them and says, I can't imagine they'll be very long.
And she says, oh, I think they're just about done. And expectantly looks towards the door. What do the three remaining members of our crew do? You see a open door as your perspective shifts out of the simulacrum.
Twigg's busy dying.
What does that look like?
Ink leaking out, mostly from their chest. It seems like there's not much blood left. It's just ink.
Maurice is quietly sobbing and taking movements with great effort, but sees Twigg and wipes his eyes and walks over and says, hey, buddy, we're gonna get you out of here. And picks him up and looks over to Kyrrie and says, you all right?
Kyrrie's face is like a stone. I don't know. I'm going through that door. Follow me when you're ready, I guess.
Come on, let's go. And heaves Twigg up to their feet and go through the door.
And Zaleska, I think, looks patiently at all of you as you walk in. And she stares at all of you. And she says, some faces I didn't expect to see so soon, but finally you're here. I don't know what to tell you now that it's all over.
Tell us how we bring down the enemy.
And she nods. And she looks at you, Kyrrie, and she says, I'm afraid I'm going to have to disappoint you, Miss von Hollingsworth. This report is powered by something. A little trick of ingenuity Ordo gave me. And she pulls the container, that leaden container, into her grasp. And she says, I don't know how much you've changed, Maurice. I don't know if you're still going to be writing the endings for us. But this one is a choice that you have to make of your own volition. I have in my possession a seed of truth shed by Queen King Quiss during their death. I know that we need 4, and in the actuality, there are 4. I have some inkling as to their whereabouts, but this is a choice that all of you must, this is a task all of you must undertake of your own volition.
We'll do it. Without hesitation. Gavriel says it.
And she looks to the 3 of you.
Maurice says, Zaleska, I'm so sorry I don't remember you, but thank you.
And
I'm in.
And she
Gavriel gives you like a small smile and a nod, Maurice.
And she says, you know, you go home sometimes, those memories will find you. Maybe you're not as lost as you think you are. Maybe you will remember me in time.
I mean, Maurice wipes away a tear and says, Twigg, you gonna make this decision in time to save your own life?
I don't think this is gonna save my life, man. I don't feel so good.
And Maurice squeezes and holds you up even stronger.
And they look at Zaleska and I don't know who you think I am, but I'm not them. I don't understand.
You are who the actuality needs you to be. You're the beginning, or you're the end. The end is past. Maybe the beginning, you can be that now.
Yeah, well, I'm feeling that coming on pretty fucking fast, if you know what I mean.
I don't know how to resolve this for you. I think at this point, Twigg, I will say you take an anguish. And she says, I can't tell you who you're supposed to be, but as Nehaeron lay dying, he whispered a name over and over. Kesh. Do you know that name?
GM, do I know that name?
You do not.
Sounds
But it's
vaguely Italian. I don't know, man.
It sounds vaguely familiar to you, however. And Italian, apparently.
It doesn't sound Italian, but it's funnier if I say it.
And And finally, Magister von Hollingsworth, or not Magus von Hollingsworth, I apologize. It's been some time and my thoughts are scattered. What of you?
Kyrrie's hands are in a vice grip on the grimoire that sat at her side, which has been with her this whole time.
It is vibrating being near Celestka. And she looks at it and there's kind of this delighted, and she pulls a chain from around her neck. And it is a symbol of what you realize is the Grey Sun. But it also has a similar mechanism to the invisible key that you already slotted into the grimoire. And she says, I don't think I'll be needing this anymore. And she hands you the necklace.
But where are you going? You can come with us. You can come out of this. Text. You're real. You're alive. We can help you. We will help you.
Gavriel puts a hand on Kyrrie's shoulder.
This is what has sustained me. A piece of the truth. It's what sustained this simulacrum all this time. I'm hoping that it helps you. It is the truth of verified fact. With it, I was able to create this report, asking many questions of the actuality, recording them, transcribing them. I can give this to one of you, and it will guide you towards the others. The one lost in the sea of abstraction, another at the end of the beginning, and finally the one that lies inside the darkest house. But it has to choose one of you. And she takes a hand onto the container and opens it. And a swirling mote of light begins flying in the air before jetting towards one of you. Who takes the seed of verified fact?
Oh man, I want either a card pull or a roll. I want to randomize this shit.
Card, pull that shit.
We shouldn't choose.
Okay.
Fate should decide.
It's so apropos if Kyrrie gets it, but it's wild if somebody else does, so.
Monarch, the sovereign of notions, cats, clocks, and wind.
That's mine.
Authority, judgment, the land, the world. Ruler, authority, sovereign. The monarch stands above all and passes judgment. Their commands must be obeyed because there is no other choice. The monarch isn't the ruler of the world, they are the world. They represent reality itself. They claim authority over you because you are a small part of them. You can no more refuse than your little finger can refuse to move as directed by your mind. You are a gear that turns in a vast machine, and the monarch is the machine. The monarch, as their name would suggest, is the sovereign of the notions family. They guide and direct through thought and idea. If one is going against the status quo, this card in turn is likely very unwanted. It signifies that the powers that be get involved. If that isn't the case, then this card may suggest the aid or the thanks of those above the person in question. This card can be a blessing or a reward, but there is judgment involved, and should one be found wanting, punishment is the result. In a broader sense, the monarch represents the entire world, and thus can simply be an indicator of the immensity of a task. A ruler or authority figure becomes involved in the matter at hand. Someone passes judgment, someone travels between worlds or suns. My words shall dictate your actions, regardless of the choices you make. So, as the moat flies to you, Gavriel Kazan. It merges with something inside on your person, which you realize is your Virtula Cata, the instrument of apostates. And as you instinctually grip it, it shatters in your hand, and the light effuses out of it and begins traveling down the length of your arm through your circular system, lighting your body from the inside with indigo light as it goes. And now this mote of truth is a part of you. We will discuss what that means next time. And there is
I'm assuming you're about to die or some shit, and everybody else seems to know who they are, and I still don't.
And she looks at you, Zaleska looks at you, Gavriel, and she says, there's a simple way to find out. Would you ask the Actuality a question, Gavriel? For your friend.
Gav looks over at Twigg. And there's a hard look in her eyes. And you know that she's remembering what you did to her at Nikolai. And she squeezes the hand that she's holding. She's got a hand wrapped around her other wrist that's glowing with that indigo light, as if she's like trying to, that this burning heat of indigo fire is like lancing through her arm. And there's this hesitancy as if she almost wants to turn away, and then something seems to change in her expression. And almost as if this, whatever connection that she had in that war report with Mott has changed how she perceives others around her. There's a brief flash as almost she reflects that dying, scared look in your face, and you see it in hers before it's gone. And she looks down at the light, fusing her hand, and just says, "Who is Twigg?"
And what floods your mind is a list of writings about demons, creatures of creation, and not only that, you see written some of the writings of a noted goetic named Kestrel. We will, as this kind of downloads into your brain, this information, you are overwhelmed by it. And I think that...
I think she falls to her knees.
Yeah. And when you kind of perceive all of this information, you feel Zaleska's hand on you as it falls on your shoulder. She says, "I have to imagine that will get easier with time, but I caution you that it will become more powerful the more of these seeds you find. When you collect all of them, I suspect you will have to find a place where four roads meet. And maybe there, Wisp can come anew." And there is something about her as she speaks to you. There's a slight cracking of glass in her form, as you can see kind of hairline fractures in glass beginning to appear all over her body through her clothes. And she looks, and similarly, the construct around you begins to crack as well. Tiny fractures, and she looks at all of you and says, "My time is limited. But if I can help you in any more, in whatever way I can, tell me now.
None of that answered anything.
Twigg, there's Kestrel.
And she looks back to you and nods and says, Nehaeron mentioned that name. Maybe you can find out more. I confess my record keeping is incomplete on some of this. But if you use the seed, perhaps more will come undone. Maybe you'll remember more of what you've just found. And crack through her shoulder.
Kyrrie's face is a mask. Betrayal. She has watched her mentor anoint Gav with the seed of truth and knowledge. Everything she has ever wanted.
Oh no.
She has watched the woman whose book she has carried swipe her away. And the words that come to her lips are not hers, but they issue from them anyway. She does not know how, but they do. Meralda Zaleska, I need you.
And she looks to you and says, I don't have much time. What can I do?
Don't leave me. Stay. Please don't go.
And crack. I don't. Maybe a piece of me is left in the pail. Find me there if you can find me anywhere. And she is beginning to crumble as glass begins, the shards begin falling off of her arms. The structure of this parlor, the ceiling is beginning to come down in parts.
Kyrrie reaches for her. You saved me, no!
As you touch her, she looks up at you and she says, oh, you're so much greater than you know. And she shatters completely. And all of you find yourselves in the parlor of Maurice's home.
Twigg hits the ground.
Yeah, Gav is on her knees as well.
Maurice, I think, buoyed with some energy by these familiar surroundings, is very crisp, direct movement. Attending to Gav to make sure that there's nothing new that's wrong, and then going to Twigg. What does he see about Twigg?
You want to take that one, Zach, or?
I will happily let you have this one. What do you want to do? What's going on with Twigg?
Twigg's bleeding out. And their hair color is starting to change. And you notice that it is, it's not, more importantly, it's not changing like it normally does, which is pretty rapid and kind of with their emotions. It's just darkening to a deep blood red color. And they are twitching a little bit.
What can we do? There's got to be something. Take some of the books from your library. Suddenly, Gav is on her. She gets unsteadily up on her feet and grabs some random books off your bookshelf and drops them in front of them.
And Maurice says, Gav, dear, please go to the kitchen, get towels and a bowl for water. And Maurice looks at Kyrrie. How's Kyrrie doing?
She is on her knees on the floor. She has not moved, and tears are flowing from her eyes.
Twigg. Yep, sorry, go ahead.
Maurice says, Magus, I need you.
Kyrrie's head snaps up.
Twigg is dying. We need to do something now.
Twigg, the coin is turning as it flips. You see in your mind's eye the face of the person who flipped the coin. Completely featureless, shrouded in darkness, the coin passing past their face, and it lands. And who do we meet?
Yeah. So Twigg's eyes open, and they are bright green. And they're still bleeding out. Because that's the same body, guys. Same body. I'm still dying. But yeah, you see a very familiar set of eyes if you've spent a decent amount of time looking at Okris's face, what they did allow to be revealed.
Gavriel rushes back in with like a bunch of towels and like water in a bowl, and she like crashes down onto the floor, and then it's like, I'm not the medic, I don't really know. And then she sees the eyes as Okris and Mott fought many times side by side, and her eyes go wide.
Maurice begins a weave, and between the eye line of Gav and Okris, this connection weaves the elements of heart and wind, this relationship, and begins to heal the body of Okris.
Kyrrie comes over very quietly, very slowly, and kneels by Twigg's form, and does but one thing. She takes their hand and she presses magic into it.
What does she cast?
She casts a magic that doesn't have a codified name. It's not a Vancian spell that's cataloged in any library or taught in any course. But it's magic that's imbued with strength, determination, love, and hope above all else.
I'm going to turn a card. A misunderstood beast, which empowers green and weakens pale. Mistakes, gentleness, friendship, danger, and betrayal. The misunderstood beast is a gentle giant, not a murderous monster. It seeks our friendship, not our flesh. Can we see past its physical nature and ascertain its truth? Will we even try? Snap judgments can result in horrific mistakes. We judge something by its appearance or simply by the initial reaction it churns in our heart. But the real truth of a thing can rarely be ascertained so quickly. This misstep can catch us from either direction. We might judge something ugly as evil when it is not, or we might assume someone pleasant is a friend when they are not. Either way, we are harmed, or at least lessened as a result. Something is not what it seems. It could be a concealed threat that will result in betrayal, or it could be something useful that one is ignoring or even avoiding. The turn of this card warns of such mistakes, but the mistake might have already been made, and the misunderstood beast spells out the results of such a mistake. Often this card suggests that one should look for aid from unexpected corners, but warily. In fact, what it really says is that if someone looks to be a friend, they are not, and those that seem to be a threat, likewise, are not. This is hard advice to take, and obviously it is not always true. Only when this card is turned. Something perceived as a threat is no threat at all. A terrible danger hides in plain sight, appearing to be something benign or even beautiful. The fearsome need not always be feared.
We're gonna burn Monty Cook for being a witch, right?
Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah.
Like, I love you, Monty, but holy shit.
You gotta go.
You get to it like
You gots to go!
that's
So,
what?
I will tell you this. I think that this is a card for you two to resolve. What happens when Kyrrie pours strength into your form?
Based on that card, and Marissa, feel free to chime in. I think that this is tapping into. This feels like with I feel like the confluence of magic that's happening here is tapping into the bonds that have been forged. And now we have this weird reality where you are pumping the knowledge and the passion of relationships that have been forged into a vessel that can consume knowledge, and you're basically kickstarting Okras and jamming knowledge into their grubby little brain. But not just knowledge, but like the knowledge of compassion and like the bond forged in fire and shared trauma. And this is a lot. But I think, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think there's a symbiosis to this. There has to be. And I think as much as Kyrrie placed her hand into Twigg's, I think equally that magic was drawn out of her as much as she cast it. That knowledge was drawn out of her because that connection is one they share and not one that has a directionality. And I think that because of the bond that Kyrrie and Twigg share, that's what allows her to do this.
So yeah, like this, you put your hand into Twigg's hands, and when you release that, it's Okris's. And they have a whole new understanding of this. That's erratic. Like that, honestly, I was worried about how the fuck I was going to have to react to all this, but holy shit, guys. Yeah, I think you see, you feel a pull on that magic. Like that magic wants to, like there's almost a draw, like a negative space that tries to draw in more magic before a kind of wall slams shut, stopping the flow.
Kyrrie, you take
back.
Excellent. Yeah. Kyrrie, you take 1 wound.
And Okras is looking around. What the fuck did that little shit do?
And I think on that moment, hearing an unfamiliar voice in a very familiar form, we are going to end this first season of The Hole in the World. And thus end our interlude, the war report. Guys, I gotta say, it's been 2 years and it's been an honor. I'm so glad we're still doing this crazy game. I had to, God, the beautiful thing is, I don't have to do any more big prophecies or shenanigans anymore. You guys are gonna drive everything. It's gonna be great. So guys,
the 2-year exposition. Can I just like, Zach? What an incredible job! What an incredible end to the war report! What an I mean, holy shit! I'm buzzing.
Oh, God. Well, yeah, I'm vibrating as well, probably from too much. Like my hands were shaking at the very beginning, so I was like, I can't screw this up. Guys, thanks so much for being here. I am decompressing, so I am gonna let everybody do. Does anybody want to do emotional recaps, or should we just do shout outs and plugs?
For us or our characters?
Why not both?
Oh my God.
Marcy, you want to start us off?
Oh my God. This one's a weird one for figuring out joy and despair. We successfully concluded Gavriel's character arc with the conclusion of the war report, which was the understanding that reality is wrong. Whoo boy, so that happened. I want to say joy.
Awesome.
Something happened there with getting that seed of truth and just meeting Zeleskin and feeling connected for the first time. I could go on about this. I could write essays about this, but I'm not going to. I think joy and the conclusion of the arc, to pick a brand new one.
Absolutely. Take one additional acumen, 2 for Mott moving to will himself into the wherever he ended up, and 1 joy.
So 2 acumen, 1 joy?
3 acumen and 1 joy.
3 acumen.
Did we want to do an additional joy despair because of the last session? Because we didn't do that.
Oh yeah, please do. From the last session, that was like 1 despair for you guys for
yeah.
for Everett, right?
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So mark that despair and an additional
it's a
2.
whole crux, baby.
Yeah, and mark an additional 2 acumen for overcoming Marlowe's control.
Oh man, I'm gonna get some fancy new spells next season. Watch out.
Also, there was 1 mechanical bit I wanted to say. Guys, as a result of your time in the war report, all of you may choose 1 secret that your counterpart knew. You now know it as part of your character.
Oh, yes, I was hoping you would say that.
Any secret?
Any secret. Any secret, not any spell. Crescendo will be the death of me.
Crescendo is amazing.
That made us unto gods. You can't give that to Gav. It will be mass chaos.
So yes, pardon me for forgetting that mechanical bit. Kieran / Maurice, joy, despair, acumen, and character arc.
I think overall, for both sessions, Maurice will take a joy, if not only for Kieran's successful scouting and skirmishing, but to see himself confident and powerful and purposeful, even though that person is unattainable to him now. It is still, I think he's proud of who he was. Excellent. So 2 joy.
2 joy, and take 4 acumen, 2 for your scouting success, and 2 for I think successfully defending the church for as long as you guys did. Okris / Twigg / Okris, joy, despair, acumen, character arcs.
Hopper exists in that, you know. I'm a real person, I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm starting to question that, but I'm pretty sure.
Flip a coin.
Look, I see you. I'm pointing at Marcy. For those that aren't familiar,
I said nothing. No.
Well, they can just watch our Flights of Fandom Gotham stream to find out what I'm talking about. Holy shit. I'm just like, electrified. Like, I think it was weird because I was like really getting like I go hard with my own feels into my own characters, and I'm like, yeah, fuck that guy, fuck Maurice, fuck him. Which is why Okras was being so Okras hated all of that. Like, you don't get to no, I know when the ends come. You don't get to end my cycle. Fuck you. Like, and the manipulation was incredibly distressing to them. And like, kind of, I think Twigg is just riding a storm of who am I? What am I? Where am I? When am I? Am I dying? Probably. Am I dying right now? Maybe. But not anymore, I guess. This has just been a long series of sticking a Logavore body into a living document, which was already a terrible idea to start with. And something just got awakened, and Twigg don't like it. If Twigg's still alive.
Excellent.
Or aware.
So 2 despair, 4 acumen, 2 for each defense of the church, and for successfully handling Raz Duraz last time. Do we count any character arcs for you as well?
I don't know that we can properly say. I have 2 character arcs currently running, and one of them is almost complete, but not was irrelevant to this. The other was literally just who am I, which I don't feel like has been adequately answered. That was Twigg's character arc, so I don't think that's been adequately answered.
Yeah, we'll discuss that.
We could say I would say there's some important steps have been made, but
we'll discuss how your progress when Gavriel can relate exactly what she just downloaded. Finally, Marissa / Kyrrie / Allegra, Joy, Despair, Acumen. Character arcs.
Despair, all the way through. Allegra was in the throes of controlling the game, doing so successfully from her vantage point, seeing chaos lined up into order, seeing success, making a real difference on the battlefield, only for that to be yanked away from her and told by someone she doesn't know or trust that it's over, give it up, we were fated to lose. And so we're just going to rewrite a new ending because that's what's best for everyone involved. Kyrrie then proceeded to watch the hero of the Vance, Allegra's mentor, anoint Gavriel with the seed of undeniable truth, pure knowledge, while Kyrrie clutched her grimoire and watched from the shadows. And then the very thing she did to try to save her friend, to pull them back, has now taken them away and left someone new in their place. And so Kyrrie is not doing particularly well at this moment that we leave her. Despair.
Okay.
As for character arcs, we'll talk about it, Zach, but I think the answer may be yes. We might need to resolve something at the top of next season, though, to see it through.
Cool. So let's go ahead and mark your 2 despair there. Make 4 acumen for your successful defense of the church for as long as you had agency there. And we will discuss character arcs later. So guys, shout outs and plugs. Back around Robin once again. Marcy.
Hey, so if you're not totally sick of all of us, we have another show that we do every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's called Flights of Fandom. If you haven't heard, now you know. Hopper will be on our June stream, which is starting next Tuesday. So it's a great time to jump on for our brand new flight, which is going to be in the Pacific Rim universe. Very excited to see what y'all do. I've been eagerly awaiting to watch the premiere, so I can't wait. And as always, if you want to game with us over at Manapod Studios, you should check out our Discord and maybe message some of us. We always have a lot of games going on. Some of them are more in perpetuity like this game, but our Flights of Fandom games, we're always looking for more people. We always rotate our cast. We're looking for more DMs. We're looking for more players. Even if you just want to request a fandom you want to see us do, let us know. Come play with us.
Excellent.
Also, happy hour. We do a happy hour every Wednesday.
Oh yeah.
You want to do that
It's
shout
very
out?
serious and no fun.
Yeah, I'll do that shout out. It's a very dry academic approach to a very dry, sober academic approach to playing games where we get absolutely wrecked and play D&D most often, though sometimes other game systems. I believe this week is something that I don't
Monster
remember.
of the Week.
It's Monster of the Week. Victorian Monster of the Week.
We still need players.
Ooh, I don't need to do 5 games in a row.
And next on our list here, Bill, shout outs, plugs.
Sure, I'd like to shout out a friend of the show, friend of the channel, Jeff Stormer. Just recently got featured for their game Anyone Can Wear the Mask. Look forward to playing that soon, probably on stream. Am I right?
You're right.
Featured by Polygon, to be clear.
Yanked out of the whole itch.io site. Why don't you go check out Jeff Stormer? Anyone Can Wear the Mask. Big deal. Love it. Also, Party of One, my favorite source for new games. All My Fantasy Children, and of course the official Olive Garden LARP.
Which
like
we will be doing at some point.
Guys, we talked about this. It's amazing. It is the best damn idea ever.
And by official, I mean Olive Garden will not respond to his tweets. Please tweet at Olive Garden and ask them why they won't acknowledge Jeff Stormer and the Olive Garden LARP. I'm sure their social media person will love you.
What's the
I'd
theme?
also like to plug
Yeah.
Cody Johnson, Some More News, and the only science podcast out there by Professor Scott Bugg, Bewilderments and Scientifics.
Love it. Guys, I just got a notification. It's a cease and desist from Olive Garden.
We're just going to ignore that. Add it to the pile.
Add it to the pile. Hopper, do you have any remaining shout outs and plugs?
Well, we already yelled about Flights of Fandom, and we've yelled a lot about Jeff Stormer, but I'm going to include the one thing that Bill didn't mention, and that is Talking Nog, the Eggnog podcast produced by Jeff Stormer, which is having a Christmas in July episode, which is it the 24th? I think it might be the 24th.
It is indeed the 24th.
Incredible.
If you're an eggnog aficionado,
but especially if you're not.
But especially if you, like, for instance, myself, are not, it's still delightful, and you should still watch it because it's a podcast called, or it's a show called Talking Nog. Like, just do it.
Yeah.
Ooh, now I want to do a Dragon Age one called Talking Nug.
Yes.
Finally, Marissa, shout outs, plugs, anything?
Yeah, so as some of you know, I am a writer and editor on an in-development TTRPG project called Omens Rising, which is a cool science fantasy system inspired by JRPGs. Also, Pooja is a writer, so for those of us who know, or who may know her from other Flights of Fandom stuff, it's actually super cool. We just happened to be on the same project, which was awesome. So yeah, it's a great project with a lot of really awesome writers and people who you come to know and love. And we've just started early alpha testing. And in that vein, I will be on the Hype Goblins channel starting on Monday, June 14th at 8 p.m. EST to talk about kind of where we are in development and what's happening. And so come see what we're all about then and there. Also, speaking of Flights of Fandom, in July, I will be running a Good Society one-shot, so bringing Good Society back to the channel, which will be a murder mystery night using the expansion which is designed for a one-shot Lady Susan P.I. You investigate the murder of someone at a fancy party. So come see how we interpret that for Flights of Fandom. Some of the lovely faces here as well. And then finally, just ahead of the start of the Hole in the World Part 2 in August, after we come back from a brief summer hiatus, we'll be doing a chat in the world as we dissect and discuss everything that's just happened here and has happened over the course of our Part 1 and the War Report. So dates yet to be announced, but do tune in for that before the premiere of our second part. It'll just be all of us sitting around and shooting the shit about what's happened to all of our characters and where we see things going.
Excellent.
I
And
promise I won't just spend the entire thing screaming directly into the microphone.
I don't promise that.
The first 5 minutes for sure.
I look forward to hearing your anguish. So, guys, for my own part, big shout outs to all of our friends in chat today. First and foremost, big fan of the channel, Angel Citadel Josh. Angel Citadel, which is really great place to find out some more info about gaming and read some really cool reviews and really some cool articles on game design and game principles and theory. Check it out. We love you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. 24-hour music, Commander Root concocts. Legendary action, thanks so much for tuning in. Makashi1, loved having you. Tiddlywink, how have you been? So good to see you. And finally, Vancouver by Night, thanks for tuning in. My own personal shout out, I am going to say that first off, shout out to Marcy and my dear Liza, otherwise known as Darling Archer on the channel, who had together redesigned and redecorated my office so it's not just a big pile of boxes all the time. You all are wonderful. Thank you so much. And big shout out to Encounter Party, which we are going to raid momentarily, so you guys can enjoy the second half of their show. And finally, guys, actually some really cool, interesting stuff we're going to talk about probably during Chat in the World, but also wanted to make you guys aware of. So we are working towards making The Hole in the World a podcast. So we're probably going to take some of the lower quality audio, put it into the first few episodes, and we're going to clean it up best we can, but it's going to be super cool. You can listen to it while not having to look at our goofy low-res first season faces. And not only that, we've got some really cool fan art, or not, yeah.
It's cute that you think my face isn't goofy in season two.
I have a condition
It's been
called
2 years of goofy.
Everything is a face journey. Whenever I watch any of like the VODs, all of us are just like going on intense face journeys.
And oh my god, what was it? No, I just like I have a condition called dumb face, so it's all good. But so my thing is we're gonna be doing that. We have some amazing art from Dave Wallen, who did all of our characters' portraits, and we're gonna be sending you guys some cool stuff related to that soon. And not only that, we might have a new theme coming pretty soon, and that is going to be by some really cool people and friends of the show too. So guys, thanks so much for joining us on this long journey so far. It's not over, but you know we're about halfway, maybe a little bit more than halfway. I am so grateful that I get to run this game for you guys and play games with some of my favorite people in the world who have become more like family to me over this time. So thanks so much, and for all of you guys watching, take care of your own families, take care of yourselves, be well, be healthy, and may the invisible sun shine on you all.
Be gay, do crime.
Be gay.
Here's to 2 more years.
Happy Pride, be gay, do crime. Bye.